Hi, and welcome to Old Time Knowledge. Well, I haven't done this before, but I thought it was time. So I'm just going to take you on a little tour of my garden. It's April 2nd, Saturday, and we got corn planted yesterday. I've got a lot of plants going out in the garden already. I've got more to come because it's just getting time to plant some of those seeds. So let's take a look around. Okay, first thing, we're going to walk over here to the main garden I have. So I have different areas for different things. First of all, I'm just going to say this is not fancy. Um, it's kind of a mess, but that's okay because this is real life and this is a real garden. So I want to show you first, this is my deer fence for the front garden. And it's just two, I don't even know if you can see it, but it's just two pieces of fishing line, and it goes all the way around the whole patch here. Every so often I have these little ribbons just because it's otherwise pretty invisible, but so far so good. So far it seems to be keeping the deer out just fine. I had some of those from a couple of years ago, a different fence that I had, and I just tied the fishing line to those, and it has worked great. So you can see a view of the whole thing. I have it all around the whole garden. Here I've got some different tomato plants. A lot of people will start their tomato plants indoors. I have not had good success doing that. Well, that's not true. I actually do start them inside. I put seeds in Ziploc bags with damp paper towels, and I start them that way. And then as soon as I see that they're about an inch long or so, I put them in these cups, and then I bring them outside. But I don't even bother doing that until it's warm enough to actually start growing them. So I've got Romas, and I've got a really sweet cherry type tomato I've not had before, but I'm looking forward to it. This is some celery I overplanted because I've never grown celery, and I'm definitely going to be pulling out a bunch of those, but it was just, I didn't know what would come up. They were old seeds, and surprise, looks like most of them came up. So I'll be thinning those. These are some cabbage plants, some lettuce here and here. This is romaine. And over on that side, I have a lot of seedlings from onions. And this is pretty cool. This is, well, that's a hibiscus, but right under here, I basically dug a hole in the middle of my bed, and I put a bunch of stuff to compost in there. And I have got earthworms in there. This bed has some different root vegetables that I've planted. Some are coming up, some not quite yet. Things like turnips and rutabagas. And again, I've planted some old seeds, and so in some of the cases I'm going to have to replant, and that's okay. Those are some collard plants, some carrots getting started. I've got some lavender. This is another situation, but this is where I've left the bucket in place. I learned this from Robbie and Gary Gardening Easy channel. She uses like pots inside of pots or layered on top of pots, and she just composts in them, and then there's worms in them and things breaking everything down. And you know, as the worms can go in and out because this thing is full of holes beneath the surface, and so they can totally go in and out, and then they can go in the bed and do their little business, and that's really good for the soil. And meanwhile, this is breaking down and will be soil that can be used. I did have a couple of potato plants that got nipped by the cold a couple of weeks ago, or actually I think it was about a week ago, but they're already starting to green up again. These are a bunch of onion plants. I've got some Brussels sprouts, and my son's planted broccoli. This here is a bed that I've just gotten some herb seeds started, and that's going to be like just my little herb garden. I've got oregano, thyme, basil, more lavender, cilantro, rosemary, so that's going to be great. This is another plant that got nipped by the cold. It's holy basil. This is a plant that I bought, and it totally got frozen a few weeks ago and was almost totally gone, and I'm so happy that it's actually coming back. That's some spearmint my son planted. This is more stuff my son planted. It's cauliflower, and then I just put some onions in between. They need a little bit of TLC, I think, and some more lavender in the middle. This is my solar fountain. Y'all, I know that that's ugly with the bricks and stuff, but I want birds to have a place to perch. And I also want to keep the fountain from drifting to one side or the other and spilling out all out on the ground. So I put the bricks in there because it'll be a win-win for the birds. It'll be a win-win for me. Okay, y'all, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but my dogs are howling and barking and losing their minds because people are walking by, and apparently nobody's allowed to do that here. Anyway, okay, so these are collards that are actually these were collards that seeded themselves after last year's collards, and I just moved them and put them in this bed. So these have been here throughout the winter, and I have really just started taking off recently, but we've already eaten from this, and we'll continue harvesting from it. And of course the little collard plants that are over here were just more volunteer plants that popped up from the seeds that dropped. And you know, we can do that. We just have a situation where we can do that, where we can have, you know, basically collards growing all the time. Even out in the yard, there are some places where they're just collards growing from, I guess, where the seeds just, I don't know, blew around or I don't know what, but it's pretty cool. So we got some fruit trees this year, and I'm hoping that these will really establish and do well. This is a peach tree. There's another peach tree, and there's a plum tree and another plum tree. These here are just grow bags that I've got prepped and ready so that when my tomato plants get big enough, I can put them in these. I know these are 5-gallon grow bags. Some people would say, oh, you don't want to grow tomato plants in 5-gallon grow bags. I've done it before and it's fine. The difference is I'm growing Roma tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, especially the Roma tomatoes. They are determinate, which means they're going to produce a whole bunch of fruit and then they're done. They're not going to just keep growing and getting taller and taller and taller and taller, and thereby tipping over the grow bag. It's not going to be a problem. So these are potato plants. These are just from potatoes that sprouted in my kitchen. These are russets. These are red potatoes. Those are more red potatoes. My messy garden, y'all. It's a working garden. I mean, this is not, you know, Southern living. I'm not trying to be fancy. I'm really just trying to have a functional garden that works for me. So I want to tell y'all about this. This is disgusting. What's in this bucket? It's a 5-gallon bucket with another 5-gallon bucket inside. The one inside has holes in it. And now that I've actually started using this system, I don't really need even that second bucket because, well, let me explain. This is a secret to free fertilizer. This is another trick I learned from Robbie and Gary Gardening Easy, and I have since found it on almanac.com and other sites. But this is weeds and things that were trying to suck the life out of my soil, and I said, nope, you're not going to do it. And I put them in this bucket and I added water, and they're starting to break down, and it smells putrid and it looks putrid. And I've also got some old dead collard leaves in there, but that is a great, and I have a giant stick. I can just push everything down. I can put a dipper in there. Y'all, that stuff stinks, but this is full of the nutrients that these weeds and dead leaves had brought up into them. And those nutrients can then get put into my garden soil, and it doesn't cost me a dime. This is like such a great thing. I mean, I cannot emphasize to you how badly this smells. You might not have a stomach for this. But the thing is, I had been hearing about fertilizer shortages, and I said, well, composting takes a while. And although I've got compost going, I don't have like huge piles of compost going. I knew this would be fast and this would be easy. So I wanted to sort of try this out before this became a necessity. And I think it's great. Okay, so now why don't we go take a look at where we have planted corn. My mom and I got the area ready yesterday, and well, I tilled it up over the last week. It took a few days because my tiller just kept wanting to cut out on me. But anyway, I got it tilled up, and yesterday my mom and I went out there and she helped me make the rows and I planted them. And so we've got 100 corn seeds planted. I'll take you over there and show you what that looks like. Look at these little signs of spring. How lovely is that? All right, I've put an arbor up here. My mom's going to get some, she's got some jasmine and things she's going to get growing on that. But this is the corn that we planted, and I've got tulle over it. We've got 100 corn seeds planted out here. The reason for the tulle is to keep birds from stealing the seed and to keep the cats from going out here and using it as a gigantic litter box, because they totally would. And then the black fabric around it, of course, is weed barrier, and that's just to help keep weeds out. And I've got a weed torch as well, but hopefully this will be a good solution to make this manageable and keep this largely weed free. My mom grew up on a tobacco farm, and she grew up planting or helping tend to crops her whole time growing up until she left home at 17. And so she has a lot of first-hand experience in this, and I'm really grateful to have her to teach me things and to help me with things like this. So I'm going to be watering this shortly, and then just leave it, and it's going to be probably about a week before the corn comes up. So that's it, guys. There's just a brief tour of our garden, and the things we're starting to grow and sort of the way we're doing some of the things. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, comment, share with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. And don't forget that I have, well, you can't forget if you didn't know, so I'm telling you, there's a PDF I put together, and I'm going to be doing this kind of regularly, as in probably at least once a month, possibly once every couple of weeks, with all kinds of preparedness tips and garden tips and pantry stocking tips and all things like that. And so if you want that download, look in the description below, and there will be a link for where you can go sign up for it. It's free. It's totally free. I'm not charging anything for this, but this is just another way for me to communicate beyond YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a beautiful Saturday, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.